Oh, Canada. We're still the only country in the world trapping citizens within its borders in the name of science and enforcing quarantine or fines on anyone who refuses to partake in federally controlled data tracking. On Thursday morning, the federal government announced the most recent changes to our national travel restrictions and border measures. In short, Canada will be removing testing requirements for fully jabbed citizens on April 1st. However, the government restrictions for those who chose not to get shots will remain in effect, with the government indicating no intention to lift the policy anytime soon. So after all the mandates have been lifted, which signifies no real danger, Justin Trudeau is still enforcing adult timeouts. Still prisoners in your own country for a medical choice. But there's more. For those of you who can travel, you still have to use the ArriveCAN app to enter your proof of medical status and other personal information before coming back to Canada. Seemingly innocuous. However, this medical passport will be used to enforce compliance and will be shared with provincial or territorial governments and law enforcement or security partners. As per Jean-Yves Duclos, foreign national travelers who don't submit their information through ArriveCAN may be denied entry into Canada, while Canadians who don't submit their information via ArriveCAN won't be eligible for testing or quarantine exemptions, will face additional delays at the border, and may be subject to fines. So you've had your shots, but now they're going to continue penalizing you with testing, up to 14 days of quarantine, and fines if you choose not to use a government-controlled app that tracks your data. Now, why doesn't this make any sense? For starters, these are insane, spiteful, illogical, dim-witted, fuck-faced policies put in effect by a baby dressed up as a man taking vengeance on our citizens for making him look like a chump in front of the whole world because no one in this country respects him, because he's an unqualified two-term minority leader who doubled our national debt, should have stepped down for invoking the Emergency Measures Act, and only got this job by riding his father's coattails. So that's one reason. But catharsis aside, there are other, more objective reasons why this doesn't add up, and here they are. We know the protection of these shots wanes over time. This is why they said you need 2 or 3 or 4, depending on your geography, because that makes sense. So as protection wanes, Canadians who receive their required number of shots would now be less protected than before. In fact, by now, they may have no protection whatsoever. So tell me again, why can't we both travel? We also know the efficacy of these shots against the virus has diminished severely from the primary strain to the variants we face now. Once again, we're all very much in the same boat. So why the system of punishment and reward? As a result of taking both of these widely accepted scientific facts into consideration, we also have to face the fact that contraction and spread are now virtually the same for all citizens. If for some reason this does not satisfy the skeptic in you, surely we can all agree that testing should be an option for those without shots. If the tests are effective and your travel destination does not enforce these shots, what's the problem? Has the virus gotten worse? No, it became far more mild. Do we have a shortage of tests? No, we're still using them for all citizens regardless of medical status. Do they really expect everyone to get shots at this point? The science supporting them has evolved or fallen apart on almost every level. All other mandates are being lifted. Those with shots and waning efficacy don't need to get boosters. They offer little protection against current variants, while contraction and spread remain similar regardless of your medical choice. So what are we doing here? With respect to the ArriveCAN app, we really get into an entirely different conversation, but if you're curious as to why this is happening, here's what we do know. The Government of Canada began heavily tracking data in December, and they don't plan on stopping anytime soon. This really came to light in January when it was revealed that Public Health Canada was secretly tracking 33 million or 87% of all Canadian citizens without our knowledge through our cell phone data. This program was scheduled to continue until the end of 2023, but was halted by the Conservative government in February. According to the federal government, it was to understand trends in the movement of populations during the pandemic, but the document makes it clear that they intend to use the data beyond measuring how effective lockdowns and other public health measures have been. Now that this program has been paused, it remains mandatory to download a government-controlled app, even when the pandemic is essentially over, or you face quarantine and/or financial penalties. This new frontier of digital surveillance raises a lot of serious questions. With that being said, we have already adopted the use of QR codes, medical passports to limit access, enforcing massive censorship, and secretly tracking nearly every citizen through their cell phones. Maybe the data is in fact more important than the shots themselves at this point, but who knows? The bottom line here is the meticulous monitoring and targeting of individuals that big data technology enables jeopardizes freedom and eventually open debate in society, which we've all seen over the last 2 years. At the end of the day, we have to ask, if all citizens are now fully integrated into society, but are only limited in their ability to travel, and only have to quarantine if they don't use the government-controlled medical passports, who, in society, does this actually help? The answer, of course, is no one. Justin Trudeau and our federal government are simply saying, do what I say, or you can't go anywhere. It's insane, and it's time our conservative leaders put their foot on the gas again to get this resolved. Because a lot of us have already lost so much faith in this country, and there are only so many miles left on this road before many of our capable citizens leave for good. Well, as soon as they can.